Psychological impact after a disaster is a very broad issue. There are many different types of reactions people have, and I think that's the first point to note. Not everybody reacts the same, and not everybody reacts at the same time. If we talked about the main sort of responses, we have post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a common response initially in the first few days and weeks. And when we talk about PTSD, we're talking about people who have very intrusive, distressing memories, nightmares, can't stop thinking about it. And they're just not the thoughts that we often have of a bad event. These are thoughts that really bring back the experience. They're very distressing, they're very real. It's a bit like reliving the experience. Now, these experiences are so real that typically people want to avoid them.
Approximately 190 trees are down in Montclair. Power lines are ripped out of the ground. Dozens of streets are closed, making it impossible for anyone to get around. There is police yellow tape everywhere. Pedestrians are walking around in shock.
Bill, it was a frightening night. First, there was the sound of the sirens.
We're told that about 81 homes have been affected. These are ones where the basements have been flooded or the crawl spaces.
People without power, causing a number of fatalities.
Just kind of like, it makes you stop and you think, wow, we're here 1 minute and we'll be gone the next.
A microburst is essentially an inverted tornado with the wide part on the bottom rather than the top. It is an area of sinking air, usually from a thunderstorm, that produces a very small area of strong straight-line winds. Have you ever personally been emotionally affected by a natural disaster?
Yeah, I'd say the 2006 storm that we went through. That was pretty scary. It was a microburst storm where the tree was uprooted, our neighbor's tree was uprooted, and it crashed down over like one corner of our house.
So what do you remember from that night?
Well, I remember that you came downstairs and you were kind of afraid. I said, well, come sit with me on the sofa and we'll look out the French windows and we'll see the lightning storm ourselves. Let's look at it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And as you sat down next to me on the sofa, it was then that I realized when I looked out the window that the trees were actually meeting in the middle. It was pretty bad at that point. So as we went upstairs and we arrived in the master bedroom, that's when it felt like an earthquake. It was kaboom. It just felt like something hit the house, but it felt like the house was moving. And it was pretty scary. We're all kind of freaked out at that point. Then we heard another kaboom noise and we looked up and there was actually a huge, I don't know the girth of the branch of the tree, but it was maybe, I'm guessing, 6 or 9 inches. And it came shooting through the ceiling right in front of the bathroom. Scary and sad and really frightening. Yeah.
Did it affect you financially?
It actually did to some degree. I mean, fortunately we were insured, so a lot of the damage was covered by our insurance. However, what wasn't insured was all of our landscaping.
Would you say this affected you emotionally? And how do you, like when there's a storm nowadays, how does it affect you?
It was terrifying. It really felt, I didn't know that a tree fell in our house. I actually thought that our house was part of an earthquake or something. It just felt so much more than what you imagine when a tree falls in your house.
Do you think you'll ever be able to get over this fear of storms in the future?
I think the farther away we get from that date, yeah, I think ultimately I'll feel better one day. But right now it's been, 8 years? And whenever there's a storm, I feel emotionally, I still feel kind of traumatized. I feel like those old feelings coming rushing back to me.
I'm scared.